months later.
It's like,
But you know, they can, I think that they can do something with
you
that.
probably could. It's like literally one strand of hair.
Yeah, they
that's
could
like
have,
sticking
that
out.
could be edited,
I think you
you know?
Yes. Thank you for joining us on Two Ladies in Conversation. My name is Francina Grisette, and I'm joined here with my co-host, Joanne James, and our special guest, Lenica Stephen. Thank you, Lenica. Thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome.
So, Joanne, I went out to lunch with Lenica a few weeks ago now,
Yeah, about
and we got into a really good conversation, all being businesswomen, and we started talking about accountability and what it means to us, and do we need an accountability partner? What's the purpose? It developed in such a great conversation, and I want to continue that conversation today. So our topic today, accountability.
Fantastic.
So
Great.
for me, when I think of accountability, I need it. I don't know if everyone needs it, but I know it's good for me and it works for me, especially in my business, where I need to be held accountable for when I'm not doing something. Not more for when I'm doing something. I think I'm a good self-starter until someone goes, hey, you were supposed to do that thing you said you were going to do, and you didn't do it. And what happened? I will find, for lack of a better word, excuses and reasons why.
Well, when I started the business, I wasn't accountable to anybody because I didn't think I needed to be accountable. And when you start a business, you don't necessarily know that. And when you get really busy with the business, there are certain things that just you have to keep doing in order to keep the business going. But there are things like thinking about the goals of the company and the strategies and trying to make sure that you stay on track with that. Those are the things that I found that didn't always get addressed, and that's where the accountability factor comes in. That's important because you need that, and you need that because if you don't do those things, the business can't grow. Instead, you end up working in the business, not on the business.
Right.
And the business can't grow if you're working in the business all the time, providing those services. So I hear what you're saying about the accountability. It's pretty key when you're starting a business and or running a business.
I found that when I realized there was a point where I'd be like, wait a minute, I was supposed to do something. And a to-do list really didn't work anymore.
Doesn't work all the time, yeah. That check off. For me, accountability, kind of now I'm realizing, when I was in my corporate world as a project manager, like leading teams, I held them accountable to get stuff done. And my boss was holding me accountable to get stuff done. So I didn't know the term accountability, but now looking back, I know that's kind of what it was, right?
Right.
Or maybe just doing a job. Now, on the other end, I hold my clients accountable when I'm running their projects or leading their teams, but I didn't have anybody to hold me accountable because it was very easy, especially if I didn't have set work hours that I can just I'm just working on delivering. I just didn't have like that structure or that person to say, hey, are you doing this or are you doing that, unless it was client work. But for me, for my own business, it always got pushed to the side. And what I realize now for accountability for me is the difference between working on something important versus urgent.
Right.
Yes.
And there's a difference. And I was only doing stuff that was urgent, either stuff out for my clients or stuff that had to get paid. And it's necessary, but the things that are needed to grow your business are important, but they may not be time bound. And I was just listening to this audiobook about habits, right? And it's talking about the things that we don't put a time to, we don't give any time to.
You're right.
Right?
It's very true.
So accountability for me is kind of like putting it on a map. And sometimes I put a date to it, and I have to communicate it, because if I don't communicate it, it's very easy.
Exactly.
It's like on my personal eraser, that I can just erase the date and just kind of move it.
Yeah, you tell yourself, oh, it's all good, it's no big deal, until you have someone say to you, but you said by March 15th you would have it done, why didn't you do it? And you need that person to say, why didn't you do it?
And you need to answer to them.
And one thing that I like that you raised was being in the corporate world, because I'm currently in the corporate world myself, is you have all these rules and manuals that tell you what to do. So you figure, okay, you don't think about it. And you're right, that word accountability did not manifest until I started my business. Right? So it was one of those things where what I just assumed, I didn't realize people were telling me what to do. Oh, have this done by Friday. Now I have to have this done by Friday. Hey, Lenica, I have to have this done by Friday. And then when Friday comes, you tell me, did you get it done? And then I'll be like, yes, I got it done. And now it's a win for the business, a win for me. Accountability for personal. I realize I have to put that in too.
Yes.
And that means exercise. That means even to get your nails done, your hair done, you have to incorporate personal time.
Yeah. So we had that conversation actually a few weeks ago where I was, because I learned the hard way, is that the business is an animal unto itself. It is like a baby. When you birth a business, it's a baby, it's an infant. It has very specific needs, and as it's growing, the needs change. As it gets bigger, it becomes more demanding because you are responsible for this child business, right? But what happens is it doesn't let up.
No.
And so you have to learn how to take personal time out so that you can take care of yourself, because the business will always be demanding. And so I guess I look at that, I guess, in a sense of being accountable to yourself to take care of your personal needs, and or get someone to assist you in that, like get a buddy who can, you know, say, hey, okay, you've put in 80 hours this week. I don't think so, no more. We've got to take some time out for you, or else you burn out and you're of no use to the business at all.
To anybody,
It just, everything just kind of, and it's not pretty when you get to that stage.
Right.
You know,
The
so.
burnout, it's, the signs are there, you still ignore it, and then you realize, why are you tired? And then you recognize, I need a break. So to avoid all of that, strongly suggest getting an accountability partner. It's the best way to do it. How much do you share? For me, my accountability partner, I share everything.
There's a level of trust I find with it. Because it's not only like, okay, listen, like for accountability partners, you could lie to your accountability partner, right? And that's of no use to anybody. So you could have a partner and just be like, somebody says, oh, did you get that done? You're like, yeah. You know, wink, wink. So to me, it has to be a level of trust with that person and transparency, where they could go into whatever, like your calendar or your books, to kind of look to make sure you get it done. So it doesn't happen overnight, unless it's someone you knew personally before, you know, that you guys decided to be accountability partners. And for me, having an accountability partner, especially being in business, now that I'm growing my team, but especially when I was solo, I always used to say, while I'm in business by myself, for myself, I'm not in business by myself.
Right.
That's what having an accountability partner means to me, is I'm doing my own business, I'm doing my thing, but I have somebody checking in on me.
Right.
You know, every regularly, to be, hey, how you doing? And the personal comes in too. Like, so for me, with one of the accountability partners I have, sometimes our conversation starts off personal, because it just needs to get out of the way to facilitate the business. And we don't always start business, just depends on the mood. So she's kind of been like my personal and business without us really realizing, because we are the business for most of the time. We are. So I don't see us separating personal and business.
Right, you can't separate it.
Right? So if I'm not feeling well, if I'm having a day, maybe I need to put down, hey, did you do the marketing to go check in on me personally, on my, you know, mental health or the burnout? Because you asking me if I didn't do the marketing, that might raise my stress level and add to the burnout.
Right.
So for me, accountability and that trust is huge. And I always say, oh yeah, I could do it on myself. No. Yeah, it's always good to have somebody to check in on you and just call you on your
and call
stuff.
you up on it. So I had a business coach.
Okay.
So that was interesting, and it was, and you know, you had to pay for it, but it was interesting because I caught myself pushing the little things off to the side, and he just said, why isn't it done? You know, and these are the things that you said that was going to get done. Yes, you have all these things that are important that you need to get done, but are they really that important when it's really these things that are going to drive your business to the next level?
Right.
So so in this case, for me, I think it was better for me to have somebody who wasn't somebody I knew, but I knew that I was going to, wow, this person doesn't know me, so I don't want them to think of me any less
You
than.
don't want to disappoint them.
Let me just get it. Yeah, let me get it done. You know, so I would work on getting it done. But it really opened up my eyes to how easy it is to become less accountable when you're using yourself as an accountability person, right? And so the business grew more after that, but it was a big learning. So Accountability is really important. It's interesting. Some people ask the question, well, I got into business so that I didn't have to report to anybody. And yeah, but your business will not survive.
No.
Well, it's
You
like
have
living
to
in your
account.
head. You can only live in your head for so long
Exactly.
until you have to get out ideas that you may consider, personally, you may consider it silly or it's not efficient. But once you share it with someone, they're saying, oh, that's a good idea. Maybe
Right.
not for right now, but down the
Or they
road.
pivot.
Right.
And I think that's a very key thing to have in an accountability partner is to set the expectation of what you want from them. Maybe that should be one of the first conversations you have is, okay, when I share, I'm sharing everything. This is what I want from you. What I want from you, I'm sharing everything right down to what I didn't eat today. I'm having a slight headache. What do you think it is? All those little details so that it's as if I'm talking to myself out loud. Because you don't want to internalize, because I think that makes the
very
burnout
easy
a
to
lot
internalize.
faster
Right.
when you internalize things.
You implode, right?
Yes, that's the word, you implode.
You very much implode. And so for me, like my accountability, I wouldn't say set expectations, but we said, what do you want out of an accountability partner?
Okay.
And what do I want? And then we kind of just made sure we're on the same page. So now it's like we're giving each other what we want. And then even to speak to the fact that a lot of people, I even myself, I got into business so I don't have to answer to anybody. I see it differently now because I do have to answer someone. And they're called my clients.
That's right.
Right?
Customers and
And
clients.
when it
My
comes to your
customers and my
staff,
clients.
when it comes to your staff, it's your
I got to
staff
answer
too.
to them too. So
Right.
then
Right?
they are not the ones I'm going to mastermind or to have an accountability with because they're just not the right people. So to have someone in my business, like not necessarily in my business, but to kind of share the vulnerable pieces and share the pieces of like, I'm really having not a great week or month. You're not really going to go tell your clients. And sometimes you might not even tell your team that. So to have somebody that you can
Outside
tell
of
those
that,
things
yes,
to
is important.
is key. So I could see accountability as not just getting stuff done, it actually could be a form of mental health.
Yes.
In a
to get
sense,
stuff
yes.
off of your chest,
Yes.
you know what I
It
mean?
needs to be, yeah.
Because they give you what 20 minutes to vent or however long, and then let's get her done to get you back on the road. So that's been my experience, and I will always, since having really positive experience between accountability, business coach management, I will always have some level of support that's outside of my business for myself.
You won't get as far if you don't have someone to hold you accountable. I believe you'll get stuck. At some point, you will grow. You will grow, but I think you'll get to a point where you think you're advancing, but you're stuck, and you need someone to help pull you out. And that's one of the main benefits of an accountability partner.
They're like CAA. So I do talk analogies, I know.
Okay.
But like, you know, like you're driving along, you in your own car, you're okay, but then there's a moment where you get stuck, stuff happens. There's nobody I know in business, regardless if they're making 100,000 or 100 million, that has those moments.
That's true.
I know people that are running 8-9-figure businesses that have accountability partners, even though they've gotten to that stage, right?
Yeah.
Because when they get stuck, they need to have somebody else to sound off on.
And it doesn't have to be
Sometimes
someone
that's
in the same line of business either.
No.
Because it's good to have someone
same
outside of your
drive.
industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
me,
I
it's the
think,
same drive.
I think how business is run, it's pretty standard because business is an animal to itself.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
it doesn't, as I've noticed, it doesn't matter what field or industry you're in. There's accounting and there's finance, there's staffing.
Certain ingredients are always the same.
It's the same.
Yeah.
And you have to develop that. And I would say a lot of people that go into business that haven't taken business courses, things like that, which I think is the majority of people. Oh, I want to start up my own business.
And they just start. Yeah.
And they just rent a place and away they go. And then the reality hits when they're sitting there struggling because they've become a fish in a little pond,
Yes.
in a fish bowl. And they're kind of going around and around and around because they don't have anybody to talk to. They don't have anybody to share their issues with. So, again, that lack of accountability, they end up kind of going around and around that fishbowl. So, it's important to have somebody that you can be accountable, that understands and knows business, not just a buddy friend,
Yeah.
but somebody who is in business and who has maybe developed other people in business, either whether it's a business coach or a mentor or someone like that. but not just somebody
Right.
to
It can't
talk
just be
to.
anybody off on the
Yeah,
on the
and
street.
that's like for
Can't be
me, it's the
anybody.
same drive because I mean, I think like we all know different business owners, whether they've been in business for 1 year or 10, and it doesn't. I don't always go by the length of time. I go by the drive and how they're going. So I've met some business owners that they're kind of the same for like the past 30 years. No, nothing to do with them. But then you have someone that have that same drive as you because the accountability thing. If I don't do what I do, I don't want them to go, well, yeah, it's okay.
Make
yeah,
excuses
Well,
for you,
right.
let you get away with
You
it.
know what
No.
I mean?
not-
Because
yeah.
then that's a not the
Defeats
best
the
use of my
purpose.
time.
And that's a buddy. That's not
That's
an
a buddy.
accountability
That's why, like,
person.
like your mom will be like,
Yeah.
no, it's okay.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I have one of those. I don't need that
Right.
for business.
Right.
So that's what I look for
Right.
is what I call a hug and a push. Like I want sometimes when I may need the encouragement if I'm having self doubt. So that's what I call the hug. But then I need them to be able to know when to push.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yeah, because we all have those friends that will let you get away with things. And you sometimes have that friend that says, okay, that's enough now.
Yeah.
Now that you've dealt with it, let's
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah.
And even if it's a friend, best to have a friend in business because they can relate a lot better. But again, get someone that can push you, that doesn't allow you to get away with anything. You will go through life. That's what
Right.
life is. You will go through your moments where you're suffering loss, financial loss or personal loss, a little bit of self-loss or self-doubt, like you mentioned. But you still need someone to pull you.
And to keep you going through those really difficult times.
Yes.
Like the business can stop growing for a while. Maybe it even goes backwards a little bit. There'll always be issues, problems that come up.
Yeah.
That's a given.
Yeah.
There's just no way
No way around
you're going to
that.
be running through business clear and smooth with no big hiccups up and down. Just in the economy, the cycles of recession and going back to normal, that will influence your business as well.
Yeah.
You have to know how to go through that and deal with it, and if you have somebody like a business coach or a mentor or somebody that is involved in keeping you accountable to what you said you want to do and keeping you to your word, because it helps to keep the word to the clients, then it's just going to help you through the difficult times.
Right.
Yeah.
I think what goes along with an accountability partner is a great plan. You have to have a great plan. So this will be a different conversation. So tune in to next time when we talk about business planning, great strategy, and how to use that strategy going forward alongside your accountability partner.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So thank you for tuning
Looking
to
forward to
Ladies in
it.
Conversation. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you, Lenica. And we'll see you next time.